I started out on clarinet, and I majored in music, voice performance and church music actually, and then I came to FSU for my master's in arts administration a little more than 10 years ago. And so I've been in this role since I graduated. I kind of fell in love with FSU and Tallahassee, and I never left. Have any of you guys been to Tallahassee before? Okay, it's not that far. So FSU is a large public university. We're ranked among the top 25 publics in the country. And so there are about 300 different degree programs across campus. And I primarily, exclusively really, represent the College of Music and our students in our degree programs. We happen to be one of the largest, most comprehensive music programs in the country. So we have just over 1,000 music majors in about 40 different degree programs. And I'd say probably about a quarter of our undergrad music majors are pursuing a double major. So it's certainly something that's attainable, and there are a lot of different music degree options that we can talk about. Some are a little bit easier to double major with than others, but all of them have a pretty significant performance component to the degree program, right? So we all kind of came to music initially, at least, because we enjoy making music, I think, right? So you're not giving that up if you take on one of these other degrees like education or commercial music or something like that. We're just adding some other skill sets into the mix. So the performance degrees, what do you think priority number one for a performance major is? Practicing, performing, developing your skills on whatever your chosen instrument is, right? So we attain that in a lot of different ways. You take weekly private lessons with a faculty member. You participate in both large and small ensembles. So we have chamber music in classical and in jazz. In jazz, we call it combos, and then we have big bands as well. And in the orchestral instruments, that's usually quartets, quintets, stuff like that. And then on the choral side, 8 choirs, so lots of singing to be done. Like I said, it's a big program, but we have almost 100 full-time faculty in the College of Music. We don't really use part-time faculty, which means that priority number one for them is us and our students and their studios. And many of them, most of them, are still out performing professionally and doing lots of other great stuff around the world. But their full-time commitment, this is not a side hustle, in other words, this is their full-time commitment. So you get a lot of face time, contact time with the faculty. And there's almost 100 full-time faculty. So our student-to-teacher ratio is still really low, it's like 11 to 1. Like I said, you just get a lot of contact time with them. And the class sizes are small. So most of our music major classes, you think of a university of like 40,000 people, you think big lecture halls and stuff like that. And certainly you'll come across that in some of your general education stuff, but your music major classes are usually capped at between like 18 and 22 students. So we're still able to keep really small class sizes and lots of individualized attention. So performance majors are also studying pedagogy. They're learning how to be teachers of that instrument or voice as well. And like I said, all of the other majors have a significant performance component, but the performance majors have the most coursework in that area and in the literature for their instrument and in like recital requirements and stuff like that. Music Ed is probably the program that we're best known for, and it's one of our largest degree programs. So our Music Ed degree allows you to establish K through 12 music teacher certification. There are 3 different concentrations, one in choral, one in instrumental, and one in elementary or general music. But because music teacher certification is so broad, you're getting bits and even though you're specializing in one, you're getting bits and pieces of those other areas too, because there's a lot of jobs, a lot of teaching jobs that don't do just one thing. So we want to make sure that our grads are really successful in the job market. We've had 100% job placement for over 60 years in music education, so really, really strong track record and alumni teaching all over the country and abroad as well. We have several of our alumni teaching internationally too. Music therapy, nobody mentioned, but it's another program that we're really well known for. So music therapy combines music and psychology and medicine. So you're performing on a daily basis, but rather than on a concert hall stage, you are working more in a clinical setting. So music therapists most often work in hospitals, assisted living facilities, correctional facilities, stuff like that, using music to have an outcome on your client's mental, emotional, behavioral health, even their physical well-being sometimes. And so our music therapists learn lots of different strategies depending on what the needs of the client are. And that's another area where we've got 100% job placement for decades, and we're really seen as pretty much the top music therapy program in the country. A couple of you mentioned like something like production or music industry or commercial music or something like that. So that major at FSU is called commercial music, and so you're studying music production and sound engineering and a little bit of songwriting built in, although that's not the primary focus of the degree program. It's more about being prepared to go and work in the music industry in lots of different ways. So we see graduates going on to working for major record labels, working for recording studios, doing the singer-songwriter thing, sometimes going into areas like entertainment law or artist management or arts administration. So it's a pretty versatile degree. It comes along with a minor in business or entrepreneurship already built in. It's a program that we've had for a while, but it is going through a boom. So we just added 3 new faculty members in this area, which is going to allow us to offer a lot more variety in the coursework and experiences and connect you with even more different internship opportunities. So it's not uncommon for a student to go to New York or LA or something like that for their internship, and quite often that kind of springboards into that first job. Who mentioned film scoring? Was that you? So film scoring could fall under commercial music or it could fall under composition. And we've had people who have double majored in both of those areas, but we have a recording studio, and we actually have a new agreement with Dolby, and so they are completely refurbishing our studio facilities, which is pretty exciting. And we have a film scoring studio as well. We actually have a tremendous film school at FSU, and lots of Academy Award winners have come out of that program. And so there's a lot of collaboration that happens between music and film. Student film being made, they need a score to go along with that, right? And so throughout the year we'll have premieres of those films with live score being presented, written by the students and performed by the students. So it's a pretty exciting field, and our composers also are composing for symphonic work, for choral works, for opera, for chamber music, you name it, lots of different directions that you can go in. And then we have a general music degree. So this is not as specialized as the other ones that we talked about. It's basically the first 2 years of what a performance major or a music education major would take, but there's a lot more flexibility built in. It's a Bachelor of Arts in music, and so there's about 30 elective hours built into the degree that you can use to double dip for a second major. And so that particular program, with double majoring, a lot of students are still able to graduate in 4 years with 2 very different degrees under their belt. So that's a little bit about the degree programs. Any questions so far? That was a kind of a whole lot of information I just threw at you. Yeah.
You mentioned there's a little over 1,000 music students.
Yes.
So how much time is one-on-one?
A lot. So you'll have weekly lessons with your professor. So that's an hour a week, one-on-one. You also have usually a studio class with your studio mates who are studying with the same professor. So most of the studios do weekly studio classes where you are performing for each other, hearing new rap, giving a little bit of, you know, critical feedback, in a safe space where, you know, you can kind of explore new works and stuff like that. And then, depending on some of your other classes, they could be very small. And our composers also take one-on-one lessons with one of the composition faculty, along with their private lessons on their instrument. So quite a bit, actually. Yeah. Other questions? How much time do we have?
When's the bell ring, you guys? 12?
Okay, so we got about 10 minutes or so. So a little bit about how to apply, how to audition, how to get scholarships, all of that good stuff. The applications are open now for fall 2025. The priority application deadline is December 1st. So what that means is you would apply first to FSU. Most music programs are housed in a larger college or university, so you're usually having to apply to that larger college or university while you're also simultaneously applying for the music degree. So you would apply to FSU, you can go through the Common App or directly through Florida State, doesn't matter which path you choose. There's a $30 application fee, that's the only fee in the whole process, and if that happens to be a hardship, it's very easy to get that waived. So we do not want that cost to be a barrier at all. And many of you might think 30 bucks is no big deal, but for some families, it really might be, and so we want to make sure that that's not an obstacle. You self-report your grades and your standardized test scores. So all public universities in Florida, the state has decided we are still collecting test scores. So we're not in a test optional situation. We accept SAT, ACT, or CLT, and I just need a set of scores. Like, there's a lot of variance in what those scores can look like. If you're applying as a music major, the audition is a significant component of the admission decision as well. And I get to be in the room for those conversations. So I would say 95% of the time, if somebody has a successful audition, we're able to arrange a positive result for the admission decision. You submit the application, you'll get a link to your FSU admissions portal, and there's some music stuff to do too. So there's a short supplemental application for music, because the general app doesn't ask things like, what instrument do you play? What's your musical background? So that's where you would tell us that, give us a little bit of your background as a musician, select your choice of audition dates. So we do auditions on 3 Saturdays in January and February. When you audition, you're automatically considered for music talent scholarships. The good news financially is that we have one of the lowest tuition rates in the country. We've guaranteed scholarships for all out-of-state music majors. So the minimum scholarship covers half of the out-of-state portion of tuition. But many of our out-of-state students are on in-state tuition or better. And in-state tuition is roughly $7,000 a year, so it's pretty affordable. And we have a few full tuition scholarships as well. They are few and far between, they're pretty special, but there are some of them. So on top of that out-of-state scholarship, you could get additional scholarship based on the quality of your audition or the quality of your academic record, your grades and your test scores and stuff like that. If anybody has a grandparent who lives in Florida, we have this grandparent waiver program that you can apply for and qualify for in-state tuition through your grandparent, for example. So that's kind of cool. Then auditions are held in January and February, or we'll accept a recorded audition if you can't make it to campus. I'd say if you can, try to be there. I think there's a lot of benefit to seeing the campus and getting some face time with the faculty and some interaction with the current students. But if you can't make it, we will accept a recorded audition. And each studio, each instrument has determined what they want to hear in that audition. So it varies quite a bit from instrument to instrument. Mostly, you know, a couple contrasting pieces, maybe an etude or two. Some require some orchestral excerpts. Voice does a little bit of sight reading. For all of our voice auditions, we provide an accompanist free of charge on audition day, so you don't have to worry about that. But those happen early in the spring semester, and then admission decisions come out middle of March or so, and then scholarships shortly thereafter. Yeah. Questions?
If you're an all science school,
Yeah.
how would you assess somebody like interested?
No, that's a great question. And I really encourage students to reach out to the faculty who teach their instrument to try to set up a time to meet and maybe have a trial lesson. Most of our faculty do that free of charge, which is really nice. Some will do them over Zoom. Some don't love doing Zoom lessons, but maybe they still do. But like I said, if you can make it to campus, it's great. And we'll give you a tour of the music facilities. We have 5 performance halls on campus, and we can show you around and everything like that. But definitely, I've got information with me that I can give to you, so you can reach out to the faculty to set that up. I think what part of what makes FSU really special is the people. Obviously, there's a really high level of musical excellence, right? But the culture there is really supportive, really collaborative, really interdisciplinary. So there's a lot of interesting projects going on between different areas. For example, like our saxophone studio has partnered with our sports medicine program, and looking at musician health issues and repetitive stress injury and stuff like that, and body mapping and body awareness. And so we've built some of that into the overall curriculum as well. So I just think it's a place where students feel really supported. There's a lot of safety nets in place to help you through that degree program and be successful, and lots of opportunities to choose your own adventure and customize a program that suits your particular needs, desires, aspirations. So I brought some materials with me if you guys want. And I'm happy to stick around and answer some more questions if anybody wants to. These are some brochures about the College of Music. In the back here is the audition dates, and then one page further, there's a nice timeline of your application and all of the deadlines and stuff like that. So take a look at that stuff. This is about our summer music programs. This might be better for like the sophomores and juniors if you wanted to take some of those. And then if anybody wants specific information about a particular studio or a particular degree program, I have that as well if you wanted to reach out to a faculty member or something like that. What was your area? Trombone?
Yeah.
Okay. Jazz or classical? Or both? Okay. Anybody else?
Do you have any general advice for them on auditions? Like,
Yeah.
is it better to go for the earlier audition? Does it
So
matter?
as far as when to come for the audition, there's no preference, there's no strategy about if you come on the first day you get more scholarships or something like that. We don't make any scholarship decisions or final admission decisions until the faculty have heard all of the auditions. So I think it's just a matter of finding the right time for you. Auditioning is a skill, and it's something that gets better with practice. And it's not something that most of us love to do. Does anybody really love going out on auditions?
It's a lot of that, though,
I'm sure you do, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get in those scenarios. And I would say if several of you are planning on auditioning for music schools this year, maybe run a mock audition day. Come in wearing what you're going to wear in the audition room, practice walking into the room, presenting your selections to either some of your teachers or even some other students, just somebody who's going to make you feel like this is a moment that's different than my regular practice time. But singers, like, make sure that you know the accompaniment inside and out, that the audition day is not the first time that you hear the accompaniment. For if anybody's auditioning on jazz, that happens more in a combo setting, whereas the classical side, it's more just one, your solo, or solos that you've prepared. But for jazz, you play with a rhythm section, and you pick 3 jazz tunes and play with them. And so that's faculty and or graduate students who are playing with you. So that's kind of fun and different, and gives you an idea, it gives them an idea of how you collaborate in a combo setting. They'll have you solo out, have you improvise a little bit and stuff like that. But yeah, practice may not make perfect, but it makes better. And so what we practice, we can replicate a lot easier. And just come into the audition, you've done the work, you know you've done the work, you know these pieces. Try to come into that audition room with the attitude that, like, I'm just gonna show them what I got, and I'm gonna try to have some fun with this. I tell people on audition days to try to enjoy this moment. It's kind of a pivotal moment in your life as a musician and in your career, and just try to like enjoy that moment and know that when you walk into these audition rooms, the faculty want you to do well. They want to hear great music all day long. They're not looking for errors. They're looking for an excuse to say yes. If they wanted to hear bad music all day long, like, they're in the wrong job, right? So they're rooting for you. In most of our audition rooms, you know, we're talking about 2 or 3 faculty members. You're not playing for like a whole panel of the full faculty or anything like that. They want to get to know you. Reaching out ahead of time is a great opportunity for you to audition us and get a feel for what that studio is like, what their teaching style is like, if they're worth your time and money for the next 4 years, and if you feel confident that School X is prepared to set you on a path for success, depending on whatever your particular goals are.
We gotta let them go.
All right. Well, thank you. Take some materials.